Welcome to the Bible Mindset. Powerful, motivational, biblical sermon by Tony Evans. My brothers and sisters, I'm not here to whisper. I'm here to thunder. I didn't come with sugar for your ears. I came with fire for your spirit. We are standing at the edge of something divine, something urgent, something that heaven has scheduled and hell cannot stop. This isn't just another day, another sermon, another message. This is a divine summons, a prophetic announcement. This is a clarion call to the chosen one. If you're listening to this, it's not by accident. It's not by coincidence. The mere fact that your ears are tuned into this moment means God handpicked you. Before the foundations of the earth were laid, your name was whispered in eternity's council. You are not a random selection. You are a divine decision. Let me be clear. July 15, 2025 is not a date on a calendar. It is a divine checkpoint, a spiritual deadline, a moment in time where the chosen must rise or risk fading into silence. This is not the season to play safe. This is not the time to shrink back. The clock is ticking and the heavens are watching. We live in a world that celebrates noise and neglects purpose. A world that bows to popularity but resists true power. And in the middle of that chaos, you were called out, set apart, marked by God, not to fit in, not to blend in, but to stand out, to walk in authority, and to disrupt the darkness with divine purpose. You're not weak. You're not forgotten. You're not a background character in someone else's story. You are the assignment. You are the answer. You are the weapon. And hell has been hoping you wouldn't figure that out. When heaven handpicks you, there's no vote, no poll, no consensus required. You weren't chosen through human approval, social validation, or the applause of men. You were chosen in the secret place of divine intention. That means your value, your purpose, your calling, none of it was ever dependent on people. You weren't elected by a crowd. You were appointed by a king. That's why rejection didn't cancel your calling. That's why being overlooked didn't eliminate your purpose. Because when you're handpicked by heaven, earthly systems can't disqualify you. You've got to understand that divine selection is different from worldly selection. The world picks the popular, the polished, the predictable. But heaven picks the set apart, the surrendered, the ones with scars. You might not have the resume, the followers, the pedigree, or the spotlight, but you got the oil. And that oil wasn't given by people. It was given in the place of pain, in the place of process, in the fire of obscurity. Heaven saw you in the shadows and still said, that's the one I want. You don't have to prove yourself to people who didn't pick you. You don't have to shrink yourself to fit rooms you were never designed to sit in. You don't have to audition for approval when the king has already called your name. Let that break something off of you. Let that silence the noise of insecurity. Let that uproot the fear of not being enough. You were chosen before they counted you out, before they walked away, before they betrayed you, before they saw your weakness. God still chose you. That kind of choice isn't based on performance. It's rooted in identity. Some of you have been carrying a silent ache, wondering why you feel different, why you don't quite fit, why people don't always get you. That's because you weren't made to blend in. You were marked to stand out. You were cut from a different cloth, woven in the spirit, designed with divine fingerprints. There's a reason your journey's been different. There's a reason you felt warfare that others can't even understand. You weren't just chosen for comfort. You were chosen for kingdom impact. What's dangerous is that when you forget you've been handpicked, you start competing with people who are watching you for inspiration. You start doubting yourself while others are praying for your strength. You start walking small while heaven is shouting your name. The enemy's greatest tactic is to make the chosen feel common. But there's nothing common about you. Your tears are sacred. Your scars are testimony. Your silence carries thunder. Your yes in the secret place shakes hell in public. You didn't earn this. He entrusted it to you. When you're handpicked by heaven, people won't always understand your pace, your passion, or your pain. And that's okay. They weren't there when he chose you. They didn't see the nights you cried and still worshiped. They didn't see the battles you fought in silence. They didn't feel the weight of what you carry. But God did. And he still said, you. That kind of choosing doesn't come with a crowd. It comes with a cross. So don't be surprised when you're misunderstood. Don't be shaken when you're isolated. That's just confirmation that you're on a path not everyone can walk. The choosing comes with separation. The anointing comes with pressure. The assignment comes with stretching. And the enemy knows if you ever truly grasp who you are, you'll be unstoppable. That's why he attacks your identity. That's why he tries to distract you with drama, delay, and doubt. Because he knows once the chosen wakes up, everything shifts. There are dates on the calendar, and then there are moments marked in heaven. July 15, 2025 isn't just another square on the wall, another flip of a page, another ordinary Tuesday. This is a divine checkpoint, a spiritual alarm clock that heaven set long before you even knew what was coming. It's not just about time, it's about timing. It's about a moment when purpose and prophecy collide. It's not a coincidence that you're hearing this message now. It's a heavenly alert sent directly to your spirit, shaking you out of comfort and into calling. When God marks a moment, it carries weight. This is not symbolic. It's spiritual. It's not an idea. It's a divine invitation. Heaven is trying to get your attention. God's not asking for your schedule. He's summoning your spirit. Some of you have felt the tension rising. You felt the urgency. You felt the clock ticking, not just in the natural, but in your spirit. That's not anxiety. That's not stress. That's destiny pressing through the walls of delay. You've reached a threshold and the next move isn't optional. It's essential. We often wait for ideal circumstances before we move. We wait for people to validate us, for resources to fall into place, for feelings to line up. But when heaven sets a deadline, it's not about your comfort, it's about your obedience. July 15 isn't about being ready in the way the world defines it. It's about being aligned spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and prophetically. This moment has a weight attached to it. And heaven is watching what you do with it. Some doors don't stay open forever. Some moments won't wait on hesitation. When God sets a spiritual deadline, it means there are things he wants to release after that moment, but your positioning determines whether you receive or miss it. It's not about fear. It's about faith in motion. You've been circling the same mountain. You've been waiting for something to change. But heaven is saying this is the moment that requires your movement. This is the time when standing still becomes disobedience. You've cried long enough, you've questioned long enough, you've procrastinated in the name of prayer. And while waiting on God is holy, there's a moment when God waits on you. Heaven has already moved. Angels are already assigned. The atmosphere is already shifting. And now the question is, will you move in time? You can't delay destiny waiting on perfect peace. Sometimes peace comes after obedience, not before. Sometimes clarity follows courage, not the other way around. July 15 is more than a date, it's a demand for alignment, a demand for action, a demand for activation. God is calling the chosen to shift from preparation to implementation, from vision to execution, from dreaming to doing. There's a difference between a good idea and a God moment. And when a God moment shows up, it's not about how ready you feel. It's about how responsive you are. God doesn't wait for your feelings to catch up. He looks for your faith to step forward. This isn't about what's convenient. It's about what's critical. You've been equipped for this. The lessons, the trials, the warfare, it was all training for this moment. July 15 isn't just another day. It's a line drawn in the sand. It's a call to rise or remain. And the truth is, if you don't move, something God wanted to release through you may be delayed. Not because he changed his mind, but because you stayed still. Heaven is too strategic to let moments like this be casual. You weren't warned so you could wonder. You were awakened so you could war with your obedience. You've got to move with urgency. There is a sound in the spirit realm that only moves when the chosen respond. Some of you have been praying for breakthrough. This is the moment you break through the hesitation. This is the moment where delay has to bow. This is the moment where faith has to roar louder than fear. You've been wondering why the pressure won't let up, why the attacks have been relentless, why the warfare feels personal, targeted, intense, like the enemy knows your name, your weakness, your pattern, your history. That's because he does. Not in the way God knows you, not with love or purpose, but with fear. The enemy recognizes your potential before you do. He's not reacting to where you are. He's trembling over where you're headed. He sees the oil. He senses the authority. He knows that once you fully awaken to your identity as a chosen one, there's no chain that can hold you, no system that can silence you, and no darkness that can endure the weight of your obedience. You're not under attack because you're weak. You're under attack because you're dangerous. Dangerous to lies. Dangerous to compromise. Dangerous to generational curses. Dangerous to every principality that has ruled over your bloodline. You were born to be the interruption, the shift, the generational curse breaker, the one who stops the cycle, speaks the truth, and releases what others were too scared to carry. That kind of destiny attracts demonic resistance. That kind of call doesn't go unnoticed in the spiritual realm. You see, the enemy isn't all-knowing, but he pays attention. He watched you survive what should have killed you. He saw you worship when others would have walked away. He watched you wrestle with identity, fight through fear, cry in silence, and still show up. That's what terrifies hell. It's not your perfection, it's your persistence. It's not your image, it's your inner fire. You didn't fold when the storm came. You didn't abandon your post. You didn't forfeit the call even when you questioned if you were worthy of it. Some of you are trying to figure out why you've been in the fight of your life, why people turned on you, why your finances dried up, why a relationship shattered, why emotional and spiritual heaviness seemed to follow you like a shadow. Let me tell you, this is not a sign of disqualification. This is a confirmation of selection. The enemy doesn't waste time attacking the ordinary. He assigns demons to the anointed. He sends confusion to the called. He orchestrates delay to the destined. That's why some attacks don't make sense logically. That's why some people turned on you without cause. That's why doors closed when you were doing everything right. Because the attack wasn't about your behavior, it was about your potential. You were born with a spiritual blueprint that hell cannot decode, but will always try to destroy. And the more you draw closer to God, the more hell sends distractions to derail your progress. But the enemy's panic is your prophecy. If he's fighting you this hard, it's because something in the spirit is shifting in your favor. The warfare is a mirror. It's a reflection of your influence. If the pressure has increased, it means your impact is about to multiply. You were never meant to fight like everyone else. You fight with praise. You fight with intercession. You fight by standing when everything tells you to sit down. And every time you refuse to retreat, heaven moves on your behalf. The pressure you feel is not punishment. It's positioning. God is allowing it to build your capacity, to stretch your faith, to crush pride, to prepare you for the weight of glory that's coming. The enemy thought the pressure would destroy you, but God is using it to develop you. What should have silenced you is going to amplify your voice. What was designed to break you is going to launch you. You've been forged in the fire, not for survival, but for spiritual dominance. This is not just warfare, it's evidence. Evidence that you've been marked. Evidence that your voice disturbs darkness. Evidence that you are the one hell hoped would never rise. But you're still here, still burning, still chosen. And that scares the enemy more than you'll ever know. You've been quiet long enough. You've been sitting in the back, hiding your power, shrinking your presence, doubting your voice, while the world drowns in noise. But now the season of silence is over. Heaven has flipped the switch. The mute button is off. It's time to speak, time to move, time to disrupt. You were not created to be passive, invisible, or tolerated. You were created to be a holy disruption, a divine interruption to darkness, deception, and dead religion. Your very existence is a threat to every system that keeps people bound, every lie that keeps generations locked in shame, every stronghold that hides behind tradition and fear. Some of you have been walking around with a spiritual muzzle on your mouth, not because you don't have truth to speak, but because you've been convinced that your voice doesn't matter. But the enemy has always feared the moment you would realize what your voice carries. You carry deliverance in your mouth. You carry revelation in your testimony. You carry shaking in your sound. The enemy has tried to silence you through rejection, through trauma, through intimidation. But now God is saying, enough is enough. This is your time to roar. Your voice is not just for you. It's a weapon for others. Someone is waiting for your obedience to break their chains. Someone's healing is attached to your breakthrough. Someone's freedom is connected to your yes. You don't have time to wait for comfort. You don't have time to wait for perfection. When the trumpet sounds, the army doesn't check for convenience. It responds. And heaven has already sounded the trumpet over your life. You've been called to disrupt atmospheres, tear down strongholds, and speak life into dry bones. Don't you know the enemy is terrified of a chosen one who refuses to stay silent? He can handle noise, but he cannot handle anointed sound. He can tolerate chatter, but he cannot survive prophetic declarations. When you open your mouth under the anointing, things shift. Chains break. Doors open. Territories tremble. You weren't meant to be a whisper in the background. You were meant to echo in the heavens. And this disruption you're called to bring isn't just external. It starts in you. You've got to disrupt your own doubt. Disrupt the cycles in your mind that tell you you're not ready, not worthy, not able. Disrupt the agreement you made with fear, with shame, with timidity. It's time to rebel against the lie that you're too much or not enough. You are exactly who heaven chose. You are fully equipped with what this generation needs. And the reason you felt such pressure to stay silent is because your voice breaks open realms that the enemy wants to keep sealed. It's time to move. The season of observation is over. You've been studying, preparing, thinking, praying. Now it's time to walk it out. Don't wait for a stage. Don't wait for a spotlight. Disruption begins wherever your feet land. Wherever you go, bring the shift. Speak the word. Declare the truth. Walk in power. Release healing. Stir the atmosphere. Don't underestimate the ripple effect of your obedience. Don't discount the impact of showing up fully in your calling, even if no one claps. Heaven is recording. Hell is watching. And all of creation is groaning for your manifestation. You've been mistaken for ordinary because you've been too silent. But once you begin to speak, move, and operate in your authority, the illusion will shatter. People will realize you weren't quiet because you lacked power. You were quiet because you were waiting for divine release. And now it's here. This is not the hour for restraint. It's not the time to make yourself small. This is the moment to step into your assignment with boldness, speak with holy fire, and disrupt everything hell thought it had under control. Some of you have been standing at the edge of destiny, staring at the locked doors of promise, wondering why nothing is moving, why nothing is shifting, why the breakthrough feels delayed. But the truth is, it's not heaven that's withholding, it's fear that's blocking. God has already released the instruction. The blueprint is in your spirit. The fire is in your bones. The call has been confirmed. The path has been cleared. But you've been wrestling with fear while calling it waiting on God. You don't need more confirmation, you need obedience. Fear is a liar dressed in logic. It sounds reasonable, it feels safe, it wears the disguise of caution. But underneath it all, fear is a thief. It robs time, it delays purpose. It keeps the chosen ones stuck in cycles of almost and someday. But heaven doesn't move on fear, it moves on faith. And faith without obedience is just admiration. You can admire the calling, admire the dream, admire the vision, but until you obey, it stays dormant. The enemy doesn't always have to destroy you. Sometimes all he has to do is distract you with indecision. He plants questions in your mind. What if it fails? What if I'm not ready? What if they reject me? But the real question is, what if your obedience opens the door someone else has been praying for? What if your yes delivers a family line? What if your courage shatters a generational curse? What if your obedience is the earthquake that shakes hell's foundation? So obedience isn't always loud. Sometimes it's the quiet yes in the middle of the night. Sometimes it's applying for the position when you feel unqualified. Sometimes it's writing the vision, posting the word, launching the ministry, forgiving the person, or walking away from the familiar. Obedience isn't about comfort, it's about movement. You don't have to feel ready to move. You have to trust the one who's leading you. Delayed obedience is still disobedience. And many are praying for God to do what he already told you to step into. You're asking for increase, but God is waiting on your implementation. You're asking for breakthrough, but God is waiting for you to break routine. You're crying out for clarity, but he's waiting for your courage. Because some clarity only comes after you move. Some doors only open when your foot hits the ground. The provision doesn't show up in planning, it shows up in the pursuit. Your obedience is the sound of war in the spirit realm. When you say yes to God, demons lose authority. When you move forward, curses are canceled. When you refuse to bow to fear, heaven releases angels to guard your path. Obedience is not just personal, it's generational. Someone's healing is connected to your boldness. Someone's hope is tied to your decision to stop running from the thing God told you to do. There is weight behind your yes. It carries heaven's backing. It shifts the trajectory of legacies. And every time you obey, you become more dangerous to the enemy's camp. That's why the resistance increases right before you move. That's why fear screams louder the closer you get to action. Because the enemy knows once you step, once you speak, once you obey, you won't be the same again. You don't need perfect conditions to obey. You just need a willing heart and a made-up mind. You don't need to be fully fearless. You just need to fear God more than you fear failure. The next level is waiting on your yes. The oil flows when the vessel is available. Heaven isn't checking for polish, it's checking for permission. God will use the one who moves while still trembling, the one who says yes while still shaking, the one who obeys in spite of fear. Fear builds walls, but obedience breaks chains. Fear creates delay, but obedience creates momentum. Fear keeps you wondering, but obedience makes you a wonder. You've been walking through life thinking you're just trying to survive, just trying to make it, just trying to keep your head above water. But let me tell you the truth that hell doesn't want you to hear. You are not a mistake. You are a movement. You weren't born to blend in with the background. You weren't created to simply exist. You were launched from eternity, sent into time with a purpose so disruptive that entire atmospheres shift when you begin to walk in it. You are the fulfillment of someone else's prayers. You are the manifestation of heaven's agenda. You are a divine response to a broken generation. And because you're a movement, the enemy has tried everything to convince you you're a mistake. He's used people to reject you. He's used trauma to silence you. He's used delay to frustrate you. He's whispered lies in the midnight hour telling you that you're too broken, too late, too flawed. But movements are born in the hidden places. They don't start with applause. They don't begin in stadiums. They begin in secret battles, private tears, silent victories, quiet obedience. That place of pain you walked through, it was prophetic. It wasn't punishment, it was preparation. Movements are forged in fire. They are sharpened by resistance. If your life has felt like a battlefield, it's because God is building something unstoppable inside of you. You weren't just called to carry influence, you were created to carry the kind of impact that outlives your name, that outlasts your generation, that shifts bloodlines and alters spiritual DNA. And that's why the warfare has been so strategic. That's why the struggle has felt so personal, because what you carry is not normal. It's not common. It's not average. You carry the weight of destiny, and hell is terrified that you'll finally wake up to it. Movements don't need everyone's approval. They don't wait for permission. They don't need to be invited in. They break in. That's you. You weren't created to be polite with your power. You weren't designed to be cautious with your calling. You were made to disturb comfort zones, to confront the status quo, to challenge dead systems and shake dry places. You were made to awaken the slumbering and shine in the dark. You were made to provoke change, not blend with tradition. Some of you have been minimizing yourself to make others comfortable. You've been downplaying your anointing, shrinking your light, silencing your roar. But movements can't stay quiet. Movements aren't made for small talk. They're made for divine disruption. You don't need a title to operate in authority. You don't need a mic to speak with impact. You don't need a platform to leave a mark. You just need to believe what God already spoke about you. You just need to walk like heaven backs you, because it does. Your presence is not passive. Your presence is prophetic. When you enter rooms, demons feel it. When you speak truth, chains begin to shake. When you pray, atmospheres realign. That's what happens when a movement becomes aware of itself. When a chosen one stops pretending they're normal. When a child of God stops begging and starts commanding. You weren't born to be pitied. You were born to wage war in the spirit. And the most dangerous thing you can do right now is remain silent about who you are. The most threatening move you can make to hell is to stand tall in your identity and move forward, even when it hurts. You may be trembling, you may be bleeding, but you're still chosen. You may feel overlooked, but you've been anointed to overturn. Heaven didn't place you on this earth to fit in. Heaven placed you on this earth to flip tables, to uproot lies, to build altars, to spark revival. You are not too young, too old, too late, too broken, too anything. You are exactly what this moment in history needs. Movements aren't pretty. They're powerful. They stir things